Hello everyone, today is 12th of November. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Guys, today into the GS folder, we will be seeing a quote from the Mahatma Gandhi ji who had talked about the happiness. Gandhi ji says, happiness is when what you think, what you say and what you do are in harmony. Now guys, into the UPSC mains GS paper number 4, directly a question has been asked that what do you mean by happiness? So there we can directly use this particular quote. Moreover, guys, now if we see the approach of Gandhi ji in defining the happiness, what he had talked, he had, guys, actually equated the happiness to the integrity. Now, what is integrity? Integrity is a state of alignment when what you think, what you say, and what you do are into the alignment. So, guys, when a person will follow the integrity, he will simply be being experiencing a joy or a happiness. So guys, even such kind of ideas when we see from the great thinkers, it should not be taken onto the mere face value, rather it should be seen into a larger context. Now these things also becomes very important because whenever the UPSC gives a quote, they asks that what do you mean by it and what it means to you into your present ethical life. So guys, that's all about this particular quote, and now we'll be moving to the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, let's see the overview of the articles that we are taking up today. Guys, I would like to tell you that you can join our Telegram channel, as there every day I provide the PDF of the current affair notes as well as all the infographics that we are taking here. They are provided there into the PDF format. So, guys, please join the Telegram. The link has been given into the description. Now, guys, this is the Hindu newspaper, and here the first news that we can see is with respect to the governing of the OTT platforms. It is a very good thing. We will be seeing it. Then guys, there is the center's plan to boost the manufacturing. We'll see that what has happened here. Then guys, other news are the political issues, not important really for the exam. Then guys, moving forward, the city page doesn't contains any much of the important news. The rising number of cases etc has just been talked about. Then guys, here onto the editorial page, we can see that mostly the news with respect to the political themes or the issues which we had already been done has been taken up. For example, this article talks about the Bihar elections, not important political article. The below article talks about the Madhya Pradesh by-polls, not important. Then guys, this article talks about as how the President Trump's laws are to be changed by the Joe Biden, but as he will not be coming, as he had not came into the office, we can't say anything. Now guys, this particular article talks as how the government basically the polls, the predictions which they are doing, it is wrong and all such kind of things. Now guys, this particular article talks about the vigilante justice, so such idea we will be seeing it. Then guys, again Bihar politics etc not needed. Then guys, moving further, as we move forward guys, we can see here that the fiscal package with respect to the manufacturing has been mentioned. We will be seeing this entire article. After that guys, here you can see that the home ministry has amended the FCRA rules. However, nothing important has happened here, just it has just relaxed the norms for certain of the categories, that is the farmer, student, religious organizations which are not involved with the political party. Then guys, here one more news has been mentioned, that is the number of the legislators who are facing the criminal charges. So into the criminalization of politics, we can use such kind of data. Then guys, moving forward, the showcase page. After that guys, here we can see that the Hong Kong pro democracy leaders, they have been resigned. So we will be seeing this what entire is happening into the Hong Kong. After guys, moving into this particular direction, we can see that the social infrastructure PPP and viability gap funding has been mentioned. After this friends, there is a sports page, and now we will be taking up certain more articles that we will be taking up today with the Hindu newspaper. Now guys, this particular article has been taken up into from the live mint, and it is talking about the PLI scheme which has been liberalized. So we will be seeing that how it is important. Then guys, again the OTT and the I&B issue has been mentioned. We will be seeing it. After that guys, the rare langur has been mentioned. Now for ecology, it is a very important article. We will be seeing it. Then guys, ESG investments have been mentioned, very important for ethics as well as GS2 and 3. We will see this particular idea. After that guys, what is the unique maritime cluster? So it has just been there into the news, so we will be seeing the maritime clusters. After that guys, the lawmaker and the Hong Kong issue has been mentioned. So guys, these are all the other articles into the other newspaper, and into the PIB only the same news has been mentioned. And now let's take up them comprehensively. Now guys, taking up the first news article, so this is a very big news which is coming today. Now, guys, what has happened? Government has actually enhanced the scope of the PLI scheme, that is the Production Linked Incentive Scheme. Now, guys, before going into the scheme, I will be giving you certain background. See, right now there is a kind of an anti-China backlash which is going on into the world because of three reasons. Reason number one is the China's unilateralism. Reason number two is the Wuhan incident which has happened, and reason number three, because of the ideological warfare that is going between China as well as the USA. And because of this backlash, a kind of a negative business sentiments have been developed. And because of this, now a China plus one strategy is being talked about. Now, guys, this particular phrase is very much popular into the foreign media. China plus one strategy means that the business houses, they are diversifying their manufacturing zones. They now move beyond, they want to move beyond the China. And guys, into this particular direction, there is one phrase which often comes, that is mighty five. Now, guys, this mighty five, this expression is very old. A mighty five, it stands for the certain countries into the Asia which are the powerhouse of the next manufacturing. And this mighty stands for, M stands for Malaysia, I stands for Indonesia, T stands for Thailand, I stands for India, and V stands for Vietnam. Now, guys, therefore, these five countries are now trying to attract the kind of businesses which want to relocate. And in this particular direction, government had started the PLI scheme. So PLI stands for the Production Linked Incentive Scheme. Here, what will happen? 4 to 6% incremental incentives over the sales will be provided for the next 5 years. Now, what does this means, guys? Into the simple language, it means that suppose one company A, it produced 100 rupees of products. Now into the next year, if it will produce incremental sale over this, means more than 100 rupees. For example, into next year it produced 120 rupees of product. So, guys, 20 rupees is the incremental sale. Now over this particular sale, 4% to 6% of the incentive will be provided. Now, because of this particular thing, guys, what will happen? The products will become competitive, their cost will go down. Now for 5 years, this particular incentive will be provided. Now, guys, earlier when the PLI scheme was started, it was limited only to the electronic sector. And if you are following the newspaper analysis regularly, few days back we had also seen that some of the Indian firms as well as global firms were also selected by the government of India under the electronic category. Now, guys, government is seeing much potential into this PLI scheme, and now government had said that the scope of this particular scheme is being enhanced, and now the 10 sectors have been included into this particular scheme. These are the automobile and auto parts, advanced chemistry cell, pharmaceuticals, telecom, food products, textile products, specialty steel, white goods such as AC, refrigerator, etc., technology goods, and the high efficiency solar PV cells. Now, guys, government is keeping aside a budget of 1,46,000 crore rupees, and it is being said that if we also include the budget that was earlier was kept aside for the electronic sector also, then the 2 lakh crore worth rupees project is this. Now, guys, the most money is being given to the automobile sector, that is the 57,000 crore rupees, because the automobile sector has been called as one of the most promising sector. Now, guys, it has been said that all these 10 sectors are the sunrise sectors, and if the boost is given, then India can gain much of the benefits. Now, friends, after discussing this particular scheme, what are the benefits that can come to India? Now, guys, see, right now our manufacturing sector gives the 16% contribution into the GDP, and we are talking about the Make in India for so long, under which 25% of contribution of manufacturing sector into the GDP has to be achieved. But till now, nothing impact has come. So, guys, now it is being said that by the PLI scheme, this particular objective of Make in India will finally be achieved, so therefore it will be helping there. Then, guys, right now if we see the basically problem of unemployment has been so much problematic, and if I give you the latest data from the periodic labor force survey which was released recently, then, guys, 5.9% is the unemployment rate, which is very much high. Right now, in last 45 years, we are seeing the high unemployment rate. So therefore, the PLI scheme, with more of the companies will be coming in India, they will be setting up their industries, obviously the new jobs will be created. Then guys, India wants to become the net exporter of all these items. So if more of the manufacturing will be coming, yes, India can become a net exporter. Then guys, government had often talked about the Atmanirbharta. So Atmanirbharta is nothing but reducing the import dependence. And when all these products will be produced in India, obviously that the import dependence will also be reduced. And guys, because of this particular thing, India's forex reserves will also turn positive, because now India persistently sees the current account deficit on account of less exports but more imports. Then guys, obviously it will give a boost to the infrastructure also, because when these facilities will opening up their operations in India, much of the infrastructural upgradations into the physical infrastructure, into the social infrastructure, into the human resource will be made. Then guys, there will be the cascading effects which will be coming. Now the cascading effects guys is it means that when one particular thing becomes good, then the spillover effects onto the other things also. For example, when so much of the manufacturing will happen, obviously they will also be paying the taxes, so government's tax collection will be increasing. So cascading effect is just a kind of a spillover effect which will be coming on others. Guys, many a times cascading word is used into the negative sense, but into this particular way also we can use the word cascading. Then guys, India will become a kind of a important country into the global value chain, because often we are talking that India is the next superpower which it is aspiring to be, but without the robust manufacturing, without the robust economy, we cannot do that particular thing. So India has to become an important spot into the global value chain, and this initiative holds the potentials into this direction. So guys, that's all about this particular article. I hope you have understood not only the factual information but also the implication aspect. So that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article is a very important article. It is talking about the regularization of OTT, that is over the top platform. Now friends, one thing more I would like to clarify, though in most of the place OTT has been mentioned, but it is not only the OTT, it will also be regularizing the digital media or the digital content that is being created, such as the digital news, the digital coverages and all such kind of thing. But the OTT is the most prominent theme here. Now first of all guys, what are these OTTs? So you might have heard about the Netflix, Amazon Prime. Okay, all these are called as the OTT platforms. Now guys, up till now, if I tell you, these OTTs were largely unregularized. They were not under the scrutiny or the control of the government or any other kind of regulator. But government has often talked that they needed to be regularized, and into the last few months, if you have seen, there are large number of concerns which have also been raised by certain people. For example, just recently a kind of a plea has been filed by one particular person, because he was not liking the content which was being aired by the alt Balaji. Moreover guys, many a times it has been said that into these over the top platforms, the content it uses explicit language, and the depictions or the portrayals are such which might disturb the Indian sentiment. So therefore there were the demands. Now guys, what happened earlier, the government into the November 2019 had actually said that it is coming out with a negative list, that is the activities or the things which cannot be shown into these OTT platforms and the web series that they are airing. Moreover guys, government also said that a self regulator also needs to be established by all the OTT platforms which are working in India. Right now guys, more than 15 OTT platforms are there. Now on to this particular thing guys, even the OTT platforms, they come out with a self regulator code and a negative list within which the five type of contents were prohibited. For example, the content which is showing the disrespect to the national anthem and the national symbols, as well as the child pornography and all these kind of things. But guys, even after this particular thing, government did not found the response which has been given by the OTT platforms as satisfactory, and now government had said that they are bringing the OTT platforms under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. It means that they have the scrutiny over them. Now guys, if we see presently the medias which are operational into India, then guys, the print media is actually regulated by the Press Council of India. Then guys, the films are regulated by the Central Board of a Film Certification. Then there is a Cinematography Act also. Guys, the news, it is regulated by the News Broadcasters Association. Then the advertising, it is regulated by the ASCI, that stands for the Advertising Standard Council of India. And guys, finally the OTT, they were not being governed by anyone, therefore there was a gap, and now the it gap is it is being trying to be plugged. Now guys, if we talk, then India is not only the country which is talking about the regularization of OTT. Into the USA, there is the Federal Communication Commission, which actually regulates all the kind of media which is going into the electronic media, into the internet form. But even after basically that regulation, guys, USA follows the principle of the minimal regulation because of the first amendment, which gave the right to freedom of speech and expression. Then guys, into the China, South Korea and Singapore, there are the specific censorship laws under which the OTT can be regularized, but in India there was no such kind of mechanism, and now it is being built. Now guys, it has been appreciated by some people, but some people say that it will not be doing anything substantial and it is just a lip service. Why? Because the enforcement will be very low. Now guys, if you want to start a channel onto the TV, then there are large number of uplinking and downlinking that has to be done, large number of licenses and clearances has to be taken. But to start a website or to start an app which is airing such kind of content, there is no strict regulation and the controls. So therefore, even after the regularization, much will not be changing onto the ground. So guys, this is all about this particular thing. Now obviously two viewpoints will be coming. Some people will say that it is a kind of an attack onto creative depiction of the content or the freedom of speech and expression, whereas other people will be saying that it is good because government at the end of the day need to control the kind of a portrayals which can impact the sentiments of certain communities and all such kind of things. So guys, this is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Live Mint as well as from the BBC. Now guys, into many times in prelims it has been seen that the questions onto the species have been asked, but the species needs to be very much relevant. And into this particular direction, guys, today an important species has been mentioned, that is the Popa langur. Now this Popa langur is important because of two reasons. Number one reason, guys, that basically it is a monkey or a primate, and many a times new primate species are not discovered. Yes, it is a new primate species which has been discovered into the Myanmar. Second reason is that, guys, the moment it has been identified, it is onto the verge of the extinction. Just nearly 200 to 250 of such monkeys have been left. Now guys, the name Popa langur comes from the Mount Popa, which is into the Myanmar, and only into that particular vicinity these monkeys or the primates have been found. Now guys, these are the leaf eating monkeys, and the major reason for their supposed extinction is the habitat loss and the hunting that they are facing. So guys, because of this particular thing, this species becomes very much important, and guys, it is the critically endangered, and there could be a possibility that if urgent steps are not taken, then into the few years they can go entirely extinct. So guys, that's all about this particular species. Please keep it in your mind, and now we'll be moving into the next. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Mint, and it is actually carrying a very good idea which we can directly utilize in our GS paper number 4 into the topic number 6, that is the topic of the corporate governance. Now, guys, what has been mentioned here? See, here it has been said that the ESG investing is becoming very much popular. Now, guys, ESG, it stands for a kind of an investing into those companies which keeps the environmental, social and governance parameters very high. So basically, ESG has been called as the investment philosophy, according to which the people should invest into the ethical firms, and the ethical firms are driven by these three values. Now, guys, world over, the ESG investing has become very much popular, and there are two proofs for this particular thing. First of all, guys, if we see into the last few years, nearly $1 trillion of assets have been accumulated by these ESGs investing, and this data is up to August 2020. Moreover, guys, even in India, if we see onto the Nifty, a specific kind of index has been made which is tracking the basically growth into the ESG industries, and this index is called as the Nifty ESG. and the Nifty ESG companies, they had grown even more faster than the Nifty 50 companies. The compound annual growth rate into the Nifty ESG is a 10.8%, whereas into the Nifty 50 it is just 8.99%. Guys, basically Nifty and the Sensex, these are the two prominent indexes which are indicative of the stock market sentiments as well as the performance of the stock market. So basically, the Sensex is hosted onto the Bombay Stock Exchange, whereas the Nifty 50, it is a kind of a index of the 50 countries which are listed onto the National Stock Exchange. And guys, onto the National Stock Exchange, Nifty ESG is specifically of those companies which are following the ESG parameters. So seeing the robust growth here as well as the more interest of the people, it can now be seen that actually the people are taking up the responsibility of the ethical conduct by the corporates and are rewarding those corporates which are working into this particular direction. And guys, this could be a very good example if you quote it into the GS paper number 4, when the ethical governance or the corporate governance or such kind of things are concerned. Even in GS2 as well as 3 also it can be utilized. So guys, that's all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, friends, this particular article has been taken from the web edition of the Indian Express. Now, guys, it is talking about the maritime cluster which has been mentioned by the Prime Minister when he inaugurated the Ghoga Hazira ferry or the Ropax ferry, which already we have taken up. Now, guys, the question comes that what are these maritime clusters? And in our GS paper number 3, under the topic of the infrastructure, they become very much important. So, here we will be discussing them. Now, guys, first of all, the maritime cluster, this particular idea comes from the maritime clusters which are into the Rotterdam, Singapore, Oslo, Hong Kong. Now, guys, all these major cities, you know, one thing is common here, that is, they are a very big transit hub and they are earning huge money from the maritime based industries. So, basically, maritime cluster is that particular zone where the agglomerations or the firms or the institutions or business which are dealing into the maritime transport, they are located. So the maritime cluster is a geographical unit where the businesses majorly oriented towards the maritime sphere are located. You can take one example. If you go to the Rajendra Nagar into the Delhi, that is a kind of an IAS cluster where the IAS coaching institutes are located. So these kind of clusters are very much important because they can provide the specialized kind of service, they can provide the custom tailored products, and the efficiency also enhances when the similar kind of know-how is there into one particular geographical unit. Now if we talk about, guys, India have such large ports into the Gujarat as well as Mumbai, but there is no mentioned maritime cluster. Guys, I give you one example. Adanis, they are operating one of their biggest port into the Gujarat, but for the chartering needs or to get the business, they have to open up their offices into the Dubai as well as into the Singapore because their major business comes. Now, guys, it has been seen that because in India there was no maritime clusters, various businesses even from India they have migrated to other countries. Now government is working to bring them back, and in India only we want to give them the maritime cluster. Now, guys, Gujarat Maritime Board is aiming to develop a maritime cluster into the Gift City. Guys, Gift City, it stands for the Gujarat International FinTech City, which the government is making at the Gandhinagar. Now, the Gift City, it will be specializing in one type of product, that is the financial services. So, the investment banking companies as well as the venture capitalist funds, all of them, they will be opening their offices into the Gift City. Their rules will be relaxed and it will not be treated on par with the domestic territory, but such kind of laws will be made for the Gift City that the people who are opening their offices, they get a kind of a competitive edge which they might have got into some other countries. So this was the Gift City. Now into the Gift City, this maritime cluster is also being established. The such kind of ideas have been there. Now this particular thing is very much good, but guys, there are certain problems which are practical into the context of India. Now the issue is with respect to the alternative dispute resolution, because when these such kind of projects are involved, such kind of high stakes are involved, often the disputes emerge. In India, our judicial system has been often very slow and the dispute resolution is very much weak. So for this particular thing also, the government had said this particular thing, that the alternative dispute resolution center will also be built under the Gujarat Maritime University, so that this doesn't becomes a challenge. And the ADR which is being said to be built, it will just be working like the Emirates Maritime Arbitration Center, which is functional into the Dubai, as well as like the China Maritime Arbitration Commission, which is working into the China. So on to the similar lines, the ADR will also be built. Now guys, if all the things goes good, this particular pillar could be a very thriving source of business into India. Now it has been said that into this maritime cluster which is being talked, all the clearance mechanisms, governance parameters, they will be built onto the scale of the best performers into the world. So guys, this is the entire idea. However, still it is into the gestation, and as time will pass, we'll see that where it will be going up. So that's it. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, though it is not that directly relevant because many kind of direct phrases has been utilized. Moreover, one-to-one personal kind of comments have been made, which are never used into the UPSC. But some of the keywords we will be taking up here, which can be important into the answer writing. You can use them into your answer. Now, first of all is the vigilante journalism, where some of the journalists they become a kind of a self-appointed authority which will conserve the interest of one particular group. They have the power that they can condemn anybody as guilty, they can call anybody as innocent. So such kind of authorities which are being practiced, it is called as the vigilante journalism. Now guys, the vigilante journalism has been propagated by many of the journalists. Particularly the name has been taken about the journalist from the Republic TV, Arnab Goswami, who has been arrested. Now it is true, but it cannot be responded by the vigilante justice, where the police enforcement agencies they can cherry pick that this particular matter has to be dealt into the heavy handed way, and going out of the way they cannot punish anybody for just out of their conduct, because it is not the way into which the democracies can work. Now guys, basically when the vigilante journalism is being responded by the vigilante justice, it is a retributive justice. Now the retributive justice's idea, guys, if I go beyond the scope of this particular article, then this particular thing was talked by the Aristotle, who said that actually in order to restore the justice, the punishments are also very much necessary, and sometimes in order to bring back the balance, the negative rewards or the punishments have to be given. So basically responding vigilante journalism with the vigilante justice is the retributive justice, but it cannot be the way into the democracy. Rather, the rule of law is to be upheld. There needs to be a proper procedure which needs to be seen. So the liberal values should not be tossed off just because a person had irritated the government into the power. Guys, freedom of press is sacred, which cannot be taken at any cost. So guys, these are some of the notable ideas which we can take. However, all other things are not at all relevant for our UPSC exam. So guys, that's it. And yes, please keep in mind, though often I say that you please don't use any kind of direct references, direct names into all such kind of matters. So that's it. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article it has been taken from the Hindu. However guys, the updated portion has been taken from the Live Mint. Now what has happened, you might be knowing that in past few days much of trouble is going on into the Hong Kong because of the China's heavy handedness or the unilateralism with respect to the Hong Kong. So into this particular respect, this particular issue is there. Now guys, if I give you a little background, then the Hong Kong was being governed by the Britishers up till 1997. In 1997, the Hong Kong was transferred to the China onto the condition of one country, two system. That is, the Hong Kong will be part of China, but their governance system, their kind of rule, etc., will be working onto the principle of the English common law and not onto the Chinese philosophy of communism. So, guys, basically, here the capitalism, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, democracy, all those things were given, and it was said that up to 2047 such one country two system was to be preserved. But guys, we know that now what happened in 2020, China actually passed the national security law, by which basically China, the Hong Kong had come under direct control of China, and now China can make any legislation for the Hong Kong for the security of the Hong Kong, because China believes that the Hong Kong is being basically into the against the national interest. There are certain people into the Hong Kong which are carrying their activity. Now this particular thing has been called as an attack onto the promise of one country two system, and there are certain group of legislators into the Hong Kong's assembly which believes that this is bad, and these people are called as the pro democracy legislators. So, friends, these pro-democracy legislators, they are against the Chinese government's approach into the Hong Kong. Now, what happened? Just guys, one day back, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress under the National Security Law had said that if there are certain of the legislators which are the national threat, they can be disqualified. And under this particular thing, they actually disqualified the four legislators. And after this particular thing, what happened? The all the pro democracy legislators, they resigned en masse. Fine. So collectively, all of them resigned as a response to the heavy handedness in China. So guys, this particular thing has happened here, and these particular developments, small developments, you please need to keep in your mind just to interpret the bigger foreign issues which are going up. So guys, this is all had happened, and now as we are talking about the China and this Hong Kong issue, there are the countries which are seen clearly divided. For example, the UK, it slams the China for all the heavy handedness it has done. Similarly, the USA is also very resentful of the China's actions. So guys, that's all about this particular thing. Please keep it in your mind, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, just as a reference or just as a data, it can be written. So if we see the recent Bihar election results, 68% of the newly elected MLAs, they are facing the criminal charges. Now this particular data has been given by the ADR, that is the Association of the Democratic Reforms, and this particular organization is the most prestigious source to write any data onto the criminalization of politics. So as criminalization of politics is being talked about, already I have told you that the ADR's data say that 43% of the legislators into the Lok Sabha, they are facing the criminal charges, and out of it 29% are facing the serious criminal charges. And just see into the Bihar, 68% of newly elected MLAs are facing the criminal cases. Now guys, apart from polity, there can one dimension into the GS paper number 4 also, which can be given here. Now guys, into GS paper number 4, we have the topic of the attitude, and into the attitude topic, it often there's a case that it is said that your the attitude drives your behavior. Now if you see into the India, guys, often the people say that they want the clean politics, they want to have a kind of a system which is driven by the values, but when actually we see people themselves are voting to those kind of legislators which are having the criminal background. So into this particular direction, guys, we can see that though attitude of people is to have the clean politics, but their behavior to vote is such that they are themselves promoting the criminalization of politics. So this particular relation is contrary, and by this particular example we can actually prove our point that many a times attitude also not drives the behavior. So guys, one particular attachment into the ethics also we can make here. So that's all guys about this particular issue, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Guys, don't go into the nitty-gritties of Bihar as a singular state, because there are so many of the states and you cannot keep all their data into your mind. Just Bihar's this broad data is important because there are the latest elections which had happened. So that's it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the viability gap funding which government has enhanced. Now, first of all, guys, what do we understand by the viability gap funding? Now, see, many a times there are certain of the projects which are economically viable, which are very much useful also, but they are not able to be completed because the shortage of some money. Now, just assume this particular thing, that there was one company which was building a highway. Now the cost of highway was 100 crore rupees, and now government has basically, sorry, the company had actually spended the 90 crore rupees, and now they don't have any money. So just for the sake of 10 crore rupees, they are not able to complete this project. So here government can provide them the viability gap funding. Now, such viability gap funding was all often provided for the PPP projects, that is the public-private partnership projects, where the private comes together as well as the government comes together. Now, guys, since 2006, government is providing this viability gap funding. Now, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs had said that this viability gap funding is extended to 24-25, so that the social infrastructure projects such as the infrastructure projects onto the health, education, water, waste treatment, etc., they are not stalled. Now guys, these particular infrastructure has been called as the critical social infrastructure. So it has been said that wherever onto the PPP model the social critical infrastructure is being made, there the viability gap funding will be continuing. So guys, this is all this particular thing. Now up to the 30% of the project cost can be funded by the central government. So friends, that's all about this particular news item, and for your prelims also it is important issue. So guys, that's all for the today's newspaper analysis coverage. I hope that you are liking our initiative. Guys, please do spread our initiative and please like our videos, and you can also provide the feedback if you feel to do so. So guys, thank you so much.